Hello guys and welcome to Khati 3D. I am introducing a short series about creating the stylized character from scratch. It's a Hulk Hogan caricature and I will explain how I use multiple references to bring my own ideas to life. For example, this face concept is from Jouak, and second, there is a real picture of Hulk Hogan in this pose. So I'll combine it and here is the result. This is a part 1 of the series which will include only the blockout, so you can understand the basic forms first. You can also buy this model from my store to help me support the channel. It will also help if you look at this model file to see what forms and silhouette looks from all sides, making it more easier to practice. Now let's begin the actual sculpting. I will start sculpting with this clay of ball. But I don't use this default cube, I use the Gizmo 3D tool. What I will do is I will press W and hit this gear icon, and while this cube is selected I will just click to this polysphere. This is what my default workflow or sphere you could say looks like. Okay, because it is a quadrupedic topology and it is very good to handle with move brush. Okay, I will press D to turn the dynamic subdivision on because I like to see my cube smooth. It is not actual subdivision. If you go to geometry, dynamic subdivision is turned on. Now my main focus is to block out the head, and for that I usually divide the head with two spheres. I will choose the move brush, use the upper head to shove it in, and this is what my head always looks like with the two spheres. And I will hit W and just hit W and hit W again and just hold control and duplicate it, and I will just match the nothing crazy. I will just match the jaw. I will not merge it or dynamesh it at this point. I usually block out the whole body part with this set of spheres. If I hit shift F, these are the same polygroups, and I will just go to, this is my shortcut is set. I will hit auto groups and it will separate them with this polygroup. You can also go to the polygroup section and hit auto group. I have just set the shortcut here. I will duplicate this sphere again and just block out the trapezius neck. Just trapezius neck, nothing crazy. I'm not thinking about any details or whatsoever. I'm just thinking about matching the basic shapes of this character. Now I have this concept of Jouak. I will block out the face accordingly, but I will also use this second reference, which is the real picture of this Hulk, and I will just exaggerate these parts and come up with my own pose. And what I'm thinking is how Disney animators work. If you have seen Disney animators, the fundamentals of animations or character designing, they use straights and curves a lot to make the silhouette interesting. This is what you have to do. You have this silhouette screen here. You have to make the silhouette interesting as possible, because if a stranger can recognize the silhouette without looking the model, then it is your win. Okay, so you have to look this screen, which is the silhouette mode, all the time. I will hit auto groups again. What I can do is I have this MM3DCW brushes. These are free brushes, came with Shane Olsen Character Workshop. You can also have it. You just have to sign up there and download it. Brush set is comes with this set of primitives, and I usually use these two spheres, mostly this quad sphere, and I will just select it and just click and drag, and I will block out the torso with these spheres. I could also duplicate these spheres and smooth it out. I'll use the smooth brush and just make the shape of the torso. Now at this point I split the parts because it is more easier for me to handle. What I could do is go to subtool, split, and just quickly split by mask points. This will split the unmasked and give it a separate subtool. Just mesh the silhouette. Now basic knowledge of anatomy comes real handy during this stage, so I recommend studying anatomy as well as the basic character design fundamentals, because for the stylized work you have to know the basic character designings also, as well as the anatomy too, because we don't have to sculpt every single muscles during this stylized stage, and we just have to match it. Now I'm running out of topology, and my main focus is here is the deltoids. If I can get the deltoids right, I will use the Z modeler brush. Skip this because I have this turn dynamic on, and I can just hit shift D to disable the dynamic subdivision and just add this loop. So I could just push this loop to give it a shape of the deltoid like this, because deltoids are important. I usually divide the torso and the arms separately. Alright, I have to be careful with this jaw. I'm holding Alt and switching these subtools. I will just block out. Now I will go to the torso and go to this MM3D CW brush and turn the symmetry off, because I am directly blocking out unsymmetrical. Just use the move brush and try to block out the arm or biceps. Duplicate these biceps. I will again split marks points to duplicate this point and just hit W and duplicate it. It's all about duplicating and placing spheres until you like the pose. It's all about the pose. I will hit auto group again to give them separate polygroups. What I have to match is the basic shape of the pose or the action the character is taking. Alright, I don't have to go to details at the moment, just have to match the basic shapes. Just have to match the basic shapes. I usually work with dynamic turned off. It's from a draw size. Alright, now I have to somehow duplicate this, or I could just mirror and weld. No, not that. I will undo it. I will just duplicate it and place this cube sphere over there. I'll push this deltoid to the side, right, and try to match the pose. Okay, just try to match the pose. Hit smooth brush to just, it's all messy at this point. It's all about looking messed up until it doesn't. Okay, fake it until you make it, as they say. This is a quote. I use this a lot whenever the reference is too confusing for me and I question myself if I could do this or not. I keep repeating this quote: fake it till you make it, and just my brain goes that I can do this. No matter how many times I fail, I can do this, and finally I come with the result which I like the most. This is how I train my brain to focus on the important things, not the extra. I don't worry about these stuffs. Okay, no matter what concept is there in front of me, I can do it, because fake it till you make it, as they say. All right, so this is kind of looking very chubby at the moment, but it will all look good. All right, this is all look good when we this is something is not quite good. I will just push this here. Okay, and try to turn the here is the torso, the basic shape of the torso. Turn the again I will use the Z model brush to just add the loops. How to add loops using the Z model brush? Make sure your Z model brush is selected, and by default if you hover over a face or a edge and hold spacebar, you can use the Z model actions. By default, if you hover your cursor over a edge, you could just click and drag and add a edge loop there. Okay, it's set it by default. So what you have to do is select the Z model brush. If you feel like you need an edge or something, just hover over the edge while Z model selected and just click it, and you will have an edge loop there. Nothing crazy or nothing so hard to not understand. It's a very basic as it can get. Okay, for the most people usually block out with the T pose, and it is recommended if you are going for a T pose, if you're going for a production ready model. But I'm not going for a production ready model. I'm just trying to make my own concept comes to life in 3D. So to save the time, I'm just blocking out with asymmetrical pose. Now I will just try to I will use the sphere again, and just match the torso just like that, and here is the torso. All right, so it is a rough blockout, let's say, but it's not looking bad. I just have to use the move brush more and just set things accordingly. It helps if you place all the blockouts or spheres first, then use just move brush. You could just come up with your own concept. This is what concepting or sketching looks like in 3D. This is what I call sketching. You could just use the move brush a lot with the spheres and just play with the shapes. What I could do is I could make this him very fat person, okay, like this, okay, like this very fat person, or a very thin person like this. This is all comes with the experiment stage. Now I will undo it. I will try to push the deltoid muscles of this arm going beneath the biceps. Okay, this is how deltoid supposed to work, not this one, okay, not this one. And turn X symmetry and just use the move brush and just try to mesh. The proportions are very important, okay, the shape of the head, the torso, they all needs to be interesting. Mesh the silhouette as I said. Now I will block out the palm. Okay, again use the same brush, same sphere, and just turn off the turn off the symmetry and just block out the palm. I separate the palms also because it helps me in control. The thing about the arms is you don't have to. Now this arm doesn't look like what I like. Okay, I will just use the, you can also use the normal gizmo tool. I will use this normal gizmo tool and just make it front. Use this arm. Okay, I will hit auto group because they were the same subtools and just hit the transpose tool, just mesh the pose. It also helps if you do the pose by yourself because these are the same arms like you have at the moment, and just visualize the picture of how this character is posing. This is what I do all the time when I'm blocking out arms or palms or fingers. I look at my own hand. Okay, I will use the transform gizmo again and just show it in like this. Okay, I will select the palm and nothing crazy, just basic shape of the palm. Okay, nothing crazy, just basic shape of the palm. This is how I sketch out the answer. I don't just go and crazy with the fingers or any details. I just block out this basic shape of the palm however I see fit because it helps me visualize where the fingers will look like, because I don't have to worry about the anatomy only, I also have to worry about the design, the appealing design. This is what it takes for a stylized character artist to think about many things, not just one. Don't just think about the anatomy, think about whether this character will look good or not, looks appealing to you or not. Let's stretch this arm a little bit. Let's stretch this arm a little bit and select this arm and just try to push it away. Arms are tricky, but if you repeat it just like everything else, it gets second nature really easy. Well, not easily, you have to put a lot of practice in it. Okay, you have to put a lot of practice in it in order to achieve something which you seems to find difficult. Let's hit auto group to give them separate polygroups and just again block out the basic shape of the palm. I'm not thinking about any details or whatsoever, not thinking about adding dynamashing it or adding details of any kind, just these basic shapes. First you have to put all the parts there, then manage it and mesh the model. I will duplicate this and just match it the fingers. I'm holding Alt and dragging it with the gizmo to duplicate it. Then if I click auto group it, I will have a separate subtool for all of them. This is a bit tedious and slow process, but the faster you get all the forms right, primary forms of course, the easier for you to manage all this and match it with the reference as you want it. Because this blockout with primitive is what I call sketching it in 3D, because if I don't like the design, I can just use the move brush and just change the design, change the shapes, change the silhouette, change anything. All it takes is just using the move brush. I will add the loop again here and just use the move brush to push this. Sometimes it's really hard to concentrate while sculpting and talking at the same time. This is why I'm trying to be as much as information giver as possible during sculpting. If you have any questions about my process or anything, just drop a comment and I will reply you. I also have a Facebook group which is quite active. I'm always there. If you need a feedback or anything, post your pictures or videos or anything and I will be there, or my moderators will be there to answer you. This is a very friendly community. We all help each other without demanding or asking for anything. So please join my Facebook group. It will at least benefit you at some point. Now I'm thinking of adding a nose here. Again I will use the lowest topological sphere and just use move brush. If you can see, these are just simple spheres. All I am doing is duplicating it or adding new spheres and just using move spheres. Because as I said, I am not thinking about adding any kind of details. I'm not stressing over the reference that it's not matching and I have to match it somehow. I'm just playing with these shapes. My main goal at this moment is just to add all the parts necessary for the concept to be in there. After that I can just use move brush universally and just change shape however I want. With this method you can be just free. I will add loops here. With this method you can just be free and experiment whatever you want. If you want to experiment with the new pose, I highly recommend it. If not this pose, you can choose whatever Hulk Hogan pose as possible. Even the muscles flexing while bodybuilders flex their muscles. Just try it out. The more you try, the more you get second nature fast. If you will be hesitant, then it will be a problem. So to remove this hesitant, try to now listen carefully. I will use move brush and hold alt and just push it in. If you hold alt while using the move brush, it will just push or move using the normals of the mesh. So it's a very handy way. I will just hold alt and push it inside while and it will create a hole, because I have to make him somehow having his mouth open wide. All right, now at this stage it sucks. Okay, we all have to go this stage. At this stage we don't really like it much and start to lose confidence, but believe me, you have to believe the process. Okay, now I am adding a head and splitting to max points. Again, if you want to split and you don't have this UI, go to subtool, split unmasked or masked point. It will split the unmasked mesh and gave it a different subtool. Alright, so I have separated the head and somehow trying to match the silhouette. Again, I will choose the head and use the spheres to block out the mustache. All the shapes you can see, they are just spheres. All you have to do is use these spheres and just block out the basic shapes. Now I will separate mustache also, then duplicate this part, because mustache is not the part of the face. I mean, it's not the part of the flesh, so I always separate this. Those which are separated in real life, separated in the ZBrush. Alright, because it will just make things more complicated if you try to handle them. For example, the heads, they are part of your body, but they are not part of your actual head. They just grow on your head, so separate them. I always separate the heads. I will try to use the transpose tools and just now for the torso, I feel like we don't have to sculpt the muscles on it because he will be covered in a t-shirt, but we do have to mind that the deltoid will cover some part of the arm. Alright, so we do have to mind the deltoid as well. I will add the loop here. Okay, whenever I am in need of a loop, I don't just zero mesh it, I add loops because I really like this topology. If I zero mesh it, it just changes all the topology by itself. Now for the neck muscle, I think it should be more wider, like that. Again, I have to somehow make the shapes interesting enough, appealing enough, because anatomy is important, but the design and shape of the model is also as important. Because if you sculpt a really boring bodybuilder without pose or anything, of course it could work for a T pose and game ready production models, but it will not look good look for the render itself. Okay, now I will just try to push it. I think this hand should be more closer to the head. The thumb should also be a little thinner. because it is a blockout, so I'm not going into details, but you have to match the primary shapes as close to as possible without using too much details. You could use as many spheres as you want, but you cannot dynamesh it at this point. Of course you can, some really do, but I prefer this method. It is closer to the how traditional sculptors work. Okay, now I will add the Our cook. I will select the head and again use the same primitives, and I will use the Gizmo 3D tool. And now listen very carefully. If I hold control and drag these cubes either of the directions, it will just snap it and make it flat. Okay, if I drag it on the other direction, it just make it flatter. It's a very handy tool. I use it all the time to create ears. All right, just drag, just rotate it and just match the shape of the ears, just like that, and just like that. So we almost has all the parts in. I'm not worrying about the fingers at the moment. This I will do later in the sculpt. Now we have to worry about the hair somehow, and again same process. Just use the basic spheres and split it, because heads I always split it, and just block out the falling hairs or long hairs. Not getting complicated. Okay, you don't have to be complicated at this stage. Whenever you see the opportunity, try to fix these shapes. Okay, the torso, the ribs will go this way and the hips will come out this way. Okay, this part of the deltoid will go up, because wherever the arm rotates, deltoid follows. But and this arm is almost as relaxed, the deltoid will follow this. All right, this part will be shorter than this part. I'm just trying to get the main shapes right. Now I will add separate sphere for the bicep as well for the right hand, because as you can see I have to make the biceps more flexed and popped out, and with this low topology I won't be able to do it. So how the design goes, you have to follow through. If the design asks for a separate sphere, you add the separate sphere. There is no actual limit on how much spheres you can use, just there is one limit, that use spheres only and block out. Just use spheres only and block out. So I will just add this part and try to block out the biceps. I just have to match this shape from this direction. From the back direction, maybe I will add another sphere. All right, now the good thing about this is I can just change however I want any shape which I have to change. I will add this loop again and just try to shove this in. We have to see from all the direction, we have to change the silhouette or the shape from all the directions. So please keep rotating your model and see at which direction it needs to be fixed. Not just do from front, do from every direction. For example, here it's quite looking like a blob, so I'm trying to make it as slim as possible because the hand shouldn't be as much as blob. Just relax and just enjoy the reference. Alright, it's just using move spheres a lot. Same process again and again. Sculpting is all about drawing. The more hours you put in it, the better you get it. I will just push it in like this. These fingers are just replica of what others fingers I will add. This is just the shape or the contours, as you can say, for the fingers. I will add separate fingers accordingly. Same goes for this. I will add another sphere real quick and just block out the thumb, because if you have seen my palm tutorial, the thumb of the wedge of the thumb always pops out like a chicken leg. Alright, it will always be wider or thicker from the bottom and will follow the more narrow way when it goes out. Just trying to get these shapes first, then I will play with the move brush and change the pose accordingly. It's a slow process, but as you can see, we are quite getting it there. Alright, so our main focus was the face only, but we have used two different references and tried to come up with our own style, because this pose is from a realistic picture and we just exaggerated some body parts and tried to give it a more stylized look. For example, the torso, the arms, all looks really stylized. So this is how to use references. Just place the reference in front of you and try to match the shapes first. Get the shapes first on your mesh, then you could just use move brush and do whatever you like. Alright, do whatever you like. So I think this is all the shapes for the mesh for the early blockout, and this is how I do most of my work, almost all of them. I block out the shapes. I put the shapes first, Then use the move brush, because with this method I can just be free and change the design however I want. Alright, if I could just push these spheres more and will be able to give it a completely different pose. Why? Because these are just simple shapes, and it also boosts your confidence, because you have already did, I think, 50% of the job. The blockout is almost a 50% of the job, as I say, because when you block out a whole reference, it gives you confidence that you can do this job. For this example, we didn't have the exact references, but most of the time you will receive the exact reference and you have to match it in 3D. And if you apply this spherical method, this low poly spheres method, you could be just you will not bound yourself, you will not lock yourself that I have done so much and it doesn't match the reference. Because what human eye see first, they see the silhouette and the forms first. Alright, and with these basic spheres you could see the silhouette here and it just matches it. It is looking interesting. Okay, if you see the silhouette, it is interesting. There is this guy is having trying to give it a pose like he's hearing or something, and his left arm is popping up right there. And the silhouette, if you could understand this silhouette, then it is your win. So I will wrap up this class here, and because it has already gotten really long, I will see you on the next video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and if you have any question about this process or about this model or about this process of sculpting or anything, just ask it away. Join my Facebook group also. I will post the link in the comment section, and I will see you on the next part. Please sculpt with me. I will continue this sculpt on the next video. Take care. I will see you on the next.